Rarely is the answer doing new, but often doing more and better of what you're already doing, or doing fewer things. Simple scales, fancy fails. This is one of the most common problems I see with real estate agents and my clients is they start getting fancy and it doesn't work. You have to start simple if you want to scale, and you can get fancy later. But the biggest problem is you compare someone else's fourth quarter to your first quarter. And you see that person on multiple platforms doing multiple things, but you don't realize they didn't start that way. Like you'll see me everywhere today, but I started with just YouTube.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, depending on where you are. I'm on the West Coast, so Pacific time for me, it's morning. It's been a long sort of wild year. It's been a busy year. And as we kind of start to plan for the year ahead, I think this webinar is good timing. It's great timing for kind of the subject matter that we want to discuss. If you're here, then you're definitely curious and passionate about, how do I build a moat around my business, or how do I build a flywheel around my business so that I'm not reliant on third-party tools, systems, et cetera, to build and generate my business, right? So the premise of this webinar was how to acquire 30 real estate clients online next year. How do we build our digital brand? How do we build a marketing asset that scales as my business scales, and so that I'm not reliant on other systems and tools? I have a very special guest, Eric B. Preston, CEO of Agent Launch. Eric, what's up? How are you?
What's up, everyone? Good, man.
Awesome. So I hope you guys are excited. We're just going to get into some quick little housekeeping items, and then we'll fire this away. First things first is, yes, this webinar is being recorded. You'll be able to see the replays inside of our success community, and we'll send you a copy of the replay once it's available. If you have any questions, or any of this does seem overwhelming, as often sitting in on some of these webinars is like drinking from a fire hose, don't feel overwhelmed. My team is here. We're here to answer any questions, but we're also here to follow up with you one-on-one via Zoom if you want to schedule a call with either followupboss or the Agent Launch team. So please don't feel overwhelmed. Just sit down, take the notes that you can, and try to absorb kind of the big picture strategy that we're going to be talking about. And like I said, we'll be here to follow up with any questions that you might have. I'm going to sit back when I hand over the reins to Eric. I'm going to keep an eye on that chat that's provided in your Zoom panel. So if you do have questions, please use the chat. Let me know where you're from. Let me know what your tech stack is, what you're most excited to learn about today, and we'll use that to kind of guide the conversation as we're going through. So let's jump in. What's the meat of what we're going to cover today? I've already kind of said some of this, but we're going to talk about why it's important to build your digital brand online, and sort of where to start. The obvious answer is duh, it's a brand. But I think the thing that we want to get into is, where do we start? Because there's a lot of places for us to start. There's a lot of resources online, a lot of different compelling voices and messages. How do I, again, build a brand that's intentional and that really builds a system or a flywheel for me to be able to generate leads on autopilot, but that also scales with my business? I think that's kind of the crux of or the differentiator that we're going to be discussing today. We're going to talk about how to leverage assets like Google, YouTube, but really getting intentional and purposeful about the content that we create, so that we are attracting the kind of customer that we want to transact with. I think that part's really important, because if you're creating a lot of content, but you don't really have a sense of purpose or direction for it, I think that's where we get frustrated. We get frustrated because we're creating all this stuff, we're investing time and energy, but we're not really getting the results that we want. And that's the part where we feel like we're banging our head against the desk, and we dismiss it as, oh, this stuff doesn't work, right? But then how do we build systems to for follow-up that scale? And that's where followupboss comes in. I'm big on automate, delegate, or delete. That should be your mantra as you're thinking about, how do I scale and leverage my business in 2023? What are the sort of repetitive and mundane things that I can automate Can I automate the people that engage with me through an open house? Can I automate certain inquiries that come in? So that, not because I'm trying to avoid doing the work, but how can I automate some steps to allow me to achieve more and basically duplicate my effort? Can I delete any processes by basically zeroing in or cleaning up my systems and processes? Can I delete any of these steps to make my flywheel more efficient? And then what can I delegate? Can I delegate to a virtual assistant? Can I delegate to an ISA? Can I delegate to my team? What can I do to leverage the people and those around me for this system to, again, continue to scale? I think those are the sorts of, that's the sort of mindset that you need to have as you're building all of these systems. And Eric is amazing. He's going to dive into all of that in just a minute here when I hand it all over. So I hope all of that sounds good. I'll take a look at the chat in a second. For those of you that aren't familiar with who I am, my name is Ricardo Bueno. I'm the head of partnerships and events here at followupboss. I'm just a 10-year veteran of the industry, so I geek out on all things real estate marketing, technology, and sales. I'm big on automation. So when I told you to say, hey, where are you from? How long you've been in the business? I'd love to hear your story, but also like, what's your tech stack? What are you struggling with? We love to geek out on that stuff and help you sort of define a strategy that works. So let's jump in. If we were in a room, I would ask all of you guys to kind of raise your hand and tell me if all of this sounds familiar. And if we were in a room together, I'd probably see everyone's hands go up. But you know, where we are, where you are, is you've probably been pouring a lot of blood, sweat, and tears or sweat equity into building your brand. You're generating leads organically. You know, you're creating new content. You're sending out email newsletters. You're doing open houses, you're doing all of these things to put like fishing lines in the water and attract new business. You're probably also investing in a lot of paid ad campaigns. And, you know, maybe you try it for 30 days, which isn't nearly long enough, but you try it for 30, 60, 90 days, and you're jumping from system to system. There's a lot of different things that we do to try to attract the right prospects and businesses to our orbit. And we often, you know, get frustrated because we're not getting the immediate results that we want. Eric is amazing. His company builds systems and flywheels that help agents get better results on building when they're thinking about sitting down, building their brand. I'm going to hand it on over to him, let him introduce himself and walk us through the systems that they build at Agent Launch and talk to us about, you know, how to start to build a great digital brand that gets you results. Eric, welcome. Carry us away.
Cool. Thanks, my man. We love Follow Up Boss at Agent Launch. So probably 85+% of our clients use it now. We built a lot of our program on it because it is just that good. So as you said, this will probably be like drinking through a fire hose. Most of my webinars are. I like to really lead with value. So can everyone see my screen here? It's all good.
Thumbs up. You're good to go.
Awesome. So yeah, today's webinar, guys, is going to be about how to acquire 30 new real estate clients online next year. Now, that was a really thought out title because I think it's important to understand whatever you begin investing in today, you're not going to really be able to measure the true success of it for at least a year. And so that's why I always talk about next year. It's not about the next month or two. Like everyone wants the quick deals, but the truth is if you want to build a sustainable, holistic client acquisition system online, you have to do a few things well. And you have to be consistent about it. And I'm going to talk about the tools we use and why we use them, not just because we built a business around it. We built a business around it because we believe in these tools. So let's dive right into it. So if everyone stays to the end, I'm going to give you some actual stuff that you can leverage to actually implement the things that I'm going to teach you today. So if you guys stay to the end of this webinar, I'm going to give you a few things. One is a Google Ads cheat sheet, which is the exact keywords, headlines, descriptions, and whatnot we use in our ads today at Agent Launch. So you can start generating leads. The second is a YouTube launch package. That's going to give you a video hot list, a scripting template, an equipment guide, a step-by-step channel setup. So I'll be sending out a link to get this as well as a daily activity tracker, which is all digitized. So you can actually track your measurable activities every day. And I'm going to talk about setting up a calendar to actually execute this stuff in this presentation. So I'm also not going to give you a big pitch. That's just not my style. If you guys want to check out what Agent Launch does, you can go to our website, book a call with us, and I'll tell you a little bit more at the end, but this is not going to be a big pitch with anything for you to buy today. I promise you that. So My promise to you is this will be a step-by-step guide used by our over 30 current active clients. We have over 100 active clients. Over 30 of them do 30 to 100 new deals a year from this system. You're going to get tangible and actual information. This is not one of those big sales pitch webinars, as I mentioned. How to better leverage Google, paid ads, YouTube, better systems, software, and automation in your business today. And again, this is advice coming from proven strategies working today. I keep refining this webinar and updating it, but I actually built it only like 6 weeks ago. So this is stuff we've been doing for years, but I've actually put together this presentation recently. So this is all up to date. I promise you that. And you're not going to get a big emotional story from me. So who am I? Well, you already introduced me, but my name is Preston. I'm actually a licensed realtor. I am the founder of Agent Launch. We've been in business technically for a couple of years now. I've been in this space though for about 6. As of today, I have about 24,000 YouTube subscribers, and I built that in the last 2.5 years. It's all real estate marketing content. You can check me out there. At Agent Launch, we have a team of about 22 now, and we help real estate agents build client acquisition systems they own, leveraging Google, YouTube, systems automation. We acquire remote talent onto your team. Our big thing at Agent Launch is turning you into an owner. Most services out there in real estate or marketing agencies, they sell you lead generation services like Zillow, Realtor, et cetera. And the second you stop paying them is the second you stop getting anything. We build assets in your business, and that makes us a bit different. So when our relationship's over, you still own and control all of those things. So quick agenda for today. We're going to talk about a few case studies just so you know that we're legit and you should listen. We're going to talk about the 7 steps to generating 30 new clients online next year, and then we're going to go into each step in detail. We're going to stop for a quick Q&A. So I'll do that with Ricardo here, and then we'll get into the YouTube algorithm. And if we have time, we'll get into the 10 actionable steps on YouTube. And if we don't have time, I'm going to check in with my man Jake here. I do have a video that I can point everyone to actually go through that. And at the end, we'll do another Q&A, and I'll send out the link to the bonuses and all that stuff. So yeah, let's get into it. A few case studies. This is one of our clients, Todd. He's 120 days in doing Google and YouTube. He followed the program to a T, and he's done extremely well. He has videos doing, some of these have done over 10,000 views now. And he's just had a huge amount of success with it. Generated over 400 leads, 35 active clients, already closed 108K, and he's estimating he'll do 4,500. Here's an example of a client that's been doing this for 2 years. Last year, they did 54 deals on Google Ads. This year, in a way harder market, they've done 53 so far. He's just getting started with YouTube and just starting to listen, and he just had his first video take off, which I'm super proud of him about. But they have over 10,000 leads, over 100 engaged, 53 from Google this year, and they've done over $1 million in GCI. So I want to give you a contrasting example of like Todd definitely got those results quickly. Like he did a really good job, and Riley's been consistent for a couple of years. So the point in showing you this is this does scale, and we have a bunch more on my YouTube channel you can check out. So let's dive into the 7 steps to generate 30 new clients online next year. So the first one is what Ricardo, you talked about, which is establishing a brand and a website. The second is to establish 1 to 2 predictable, scalable lead sources you understand. And I'm going to go way deeper in all these points, just so you guys know. The third is to establish a dialed-in CRM to effectively nurture your leads, leveraging automation and things like that. Obviously, we use followupboss. We love it. And then master your questions and objections. So like, how's the market? I'm just browsing. I'm waiting for 6 months, interest rates to come down, the market to change, whatever. How do you get around those? I'm going to go in and give you guys some tangible examples today. Step 5 is you want to leverage video to build trust with leads for you on autopilot. And I'm going to show you how we do that leveraging followupboss. Step 6 is you want to build a successful calendar. This is something that very few agents actually do, is build themselves a calendar that they can stick to. But if you want to, I don't know a single successful person that doesn't have some kind of successful calendar. So I'm going to get into that. And then step 7 is buying back your time and building leverage around you. And I'm going to show you 3 ways of how you can do that. And the last step is to start spending more money. So let's get into it. This is one of my favorite quotes from one of my favorite mentors. Rarely is the answer doing new, but often doing more and better of what you're already doing, or doing fewer things. Simple scales, fancy fails. This is one of the most common problems I see with real estate agents and my clients is they start getting fancy and it doesn't work. You have to start simple if you want to scale, and you can get fancy later. But the biggest problem is you compare someone else's 4th quarter to your 1st quarter. and you see that person on multiple platforms doing multiple things, but you don't realize they didn't start that way. Like you'll see me everywhere today, but I started with just YouTube. YouTube was how I made my mark on my industry. So that's Alex Morzi. If you don't know him, I'd follow him. So I want everyone to throw something into the chat here. So throw one in the chat for me if 80% of your lead sources, 80% of your closed deals come from one lead source, 80% or more. Now I'm going to throw a 2 in the chat if 50% come from one lead source, and a 3 if no more than 50% come from one source. Throw that in the chat, guys. Okay, lots of 1s, lots of 2s, and a couple 3s. So I just want everyone to see that. Every time I do this, it's the same thing. Most people get 80% or more of their deals from one place. So, but also most people we work with are trying to do number 3. But I would bet you the people who are put 3 in the chat are probably more established and been doing whatever they've been doing for a longer time, and they have a bit of a mix. Unless they're new and they've done 3 deals and they got 1 from a few different places. But generally speaking, you will get disproportionate results if you just become a master of one thing. I literally, everyone, I know, like one of my clients does 200 deals a year just from Google ads. I know a guy he did 55 deals from TikTok last year. Like I know someone who does 70 deals a year from Instagram. Like you can just be really great at one thing and have an awesome business. And the best part about it is it gives you all the simplicity in your business you desire. Instead of being sold left, right, and center from all these companies, like this is the next best thing, this is the next best thing, and you make this assumption that you need to be everywhere, catering to everyone, but it's just not true. Like remember that. If you remember anything from today, simple scales, fancy fails. So let's get into the actual steps. So step 1 is establishing a brand and a website. So I'm going to give you 2 examples of how I would go about establishing a brand. Now, what I find with most people is they do some kind of mix of these things. But I'd encourage you all to try to get really focused on one brand and stick to that long term. So there's 2 types of brands that you can go with. Most people do example 2, which is a personal brand, okay? So a personal brand would be like Eric B. Preston, and my company used to be EBP Media. I did this, right? So this is one of our awesome clients, Linnea. There's a variety of reasons she goes with her personal brand, Linnea. She does coaching, she's building her downline, she has a variety of other things that benefit her to be under Linnea. What I like though, is what Todd does, and I helped him build this brand when he signed up with us, is have a location specific or local area type of brand. The reason you want to do this is because as you think of how you grow and scale and get bigger and bigger, like you want to think about, is your brand going to grow with you? Ask yourself that question, because I can promise you from experience, a lot of people who start personal brands end up really not liking being the face of the brand 5 years down the road when they're super busy and building a team. And it's hard to get people behind your personal name as a brand. So think about that very strongly. Another great example, like the first example here, living in Kona. It's great to verbal on your YouTube videos. It's like, what's up? It's Todd Barrett from livinginkona.com. It sounds a lot better than it's Eric Preston from ericpreston.com, right? And so this is how I would structure, but whatever you do, stick to it. Like pick one, stick to it, have a strong domain. I love the living in, life on, moving to, and I'll show you some more examples of those later. But picking a brand that you can easily verbal, you get a strong domain like livinginkona.com, name your YouTube channel, Living in Kona, have your Instagram, Living in Kona, have your Google My Business, your name, then Living in Kona, so that it's just everywhere and it's simple and it's streamlined. And sort this out earlier rather than later, because if you ever changed your brand, if anyone's been through a rebrand and agrees with me, put it in the chat how annoying it is. It's never fun. So second thing is to establish 1 to 2 consistent, scalable lead sources, okay? This is what I meant earlier by being simple, is like, keep it simple, establish 1 or 2 that you believe in. So at Agent Launch, we do Google and YouTube. Street text, they're really good for Facebook ads. What you want to focus on is a lead source that's money in, money out, because money in, money out equals scalability. So I believe in today's market right now, you need to take risks more than ever, but most people are on the fence and not willing to invest. And that's a hard situation to be in. But the skills-based agents, the agents that have been in the business longer and have the skills, are the ones who are winning the deals right now, because buyers and sellers are more choosy with their agent. and the better agents are winning. So you need to work on yourself. You need to take risks and you need to invest in yourself if you want to win in this market, because it's tough for everyone and it's going to get tougher. So one of my clients, for example, spends $15K a month on Google Ads alone. That's the guy who does 200 deals a year from it. I personally spend $1,000 a day on YouTube. When I first started doing that, that was really uncomfortable. You guys might think, what? $1,000 a day, that's crazy. But you have to know your numbers. If you're going to get into this world, you have to know your numbers or partner with someone who can teach you that. Because if you're getting $10 leads online, you're basically getting 100 leads for $1,000. And if you're converting 1 to 2%, which is pretty normal when you're thinking about Google Ads. Now, when you think about a 1 to 2% conversion, you have to look back in a year, like every lead you generated in January, how many of those closed after a year? That's how you kind of look at conversion. So if you close 1 to 2% at a 10,000 GCI, that's a 10 to 20K return for $1,000. So it's a numbers game for sure. Online lead generation purely is a low percentage game. And if you really work on yourself, you can raise that percentage. The guys that do 200 deals a year, they're at 4%. That's high. But that's a 10 to 20 return on your ad spend if you do this right. It's easy to screw it up, and I'm going to get into how you can avoid that. So, oh, there we go. The next thing is establish a dialed in CRM. So like I said, we use followupboss for pretty much all our clients. And make sure you have a few things. You want to have automated and proactive action plans. So when leads sign up on your website and they go into followupboss, what's happening automatically right away when they sign up? So you want to have an auto email, text, and then you want to have a call prompt on day 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, and 10, and then 1 times a week thereafter. You also want to have proactive email, text, and call prompts as well. So you want your CRM, in this case, followupboss, to actually prompt you when you haven't reached out for a lead in the last like 2 or 3 or 4 or 7 days, and then put it in your daily activity pipeline so you can just clear that pipeline every day and have that make your life easier. So you want to spend time on this. This is something we do for our clients at Agent Launch, is we actually build this in followupboss. You want to have categorizations like hot leads, nurture leads. We like to keep it simple. Some of our clients like to do hot leads 0 to 3 months, people that are 0 to 3 months away, warm leads 3 to 6 months, and nurture leads 6 months plus. We like to keep it really simple. 0 to 3 months, hot leads. Put 80% of your energy into those people. Put 20% of your energy into your nurture leads, touching base with them and reminding them of who you are and sending them value, okay? Really important stuff. And again, you want to have automated prompts to keep you, make your follow-up organized. So step 4 is master your questions and objections. So this is something I'm really big on, everyone. Like, the quality of your questions determines the quality of your answers, okay? Anyone ever heard that before? Like, I want you to remember that statement. The quality of your questions determines the quality of your answers. So what you want to do when you ask questions is you want to ask like open-ended questions that are thought-provoking. And I'm going to give you some examples, but you want to repeat what people say to you and record it in your CRM, and then repeat it to them again next time you talk to them. So repeat and record, okay? So put a 1 in the chat. I can't see everyone, so I have to do it this way. Put a 1 in the chat if anyone's had a lead tell you they're just browsing really quickly. How many of you have had a lead say, I'm just browsing, right? This is like the gold standard of online lead objections. I'm just browsing. So how do you get around this? I swear to you guys, practicing this objection, getting around this objection, like, is the determining factor for how some people fail and some people succeed. I've been running Google Ads. We spend $500,000 a month on Google Ads at Agent Launch. I've been doing this for many years, and you will get this objection all the time. But how do you get around it? Well, this is where most people give up. They'll say the leads are tire kickers, the leads suck, like the leads are just browsing. They don't suck, and they're not just browsing. They just don't want a realtor on the phone. Like, they're trying to get you off the phone. So what do most people do in this case is they say, how many beds and, well, I know you're just browsing. Like, how many beds and baths are you looking for? And they're like, I don't want to tell you. Who are you? Like, get out of here. But let me give you another one. Hey, Ricardo, I know you're likely really early in the process and just browsing. Most people who sign up on our website are. Tell me, what is it about your current home that's just not quite working for you that has you even looking at other options? So like, how many of you just heard that and are like, oh yeah, that's a thoughtful question. That's going to make me think, right? This was one I got from one of my business partners, Jason, and I love it. We teach it all the time because it's like, instead of, if you ask how many beds and baths are you looking for, they're going to put the hand in your face, or they're going to give you just a terrible answer. 2 or 2 and 2, I guess. But when you ask a question like this, it's going to make them stop and think. And it's a thoughtful enough question that it makes them think, and they're going to give you a good answer, and then you can build on that. Okay. So that's one great way to do that. I'm going to give you another one here in a minute. So this is step 4.1, which is master your questions and objections. How many of you have got this question before? How's the market? Throw one in the chat. I know you all have. That's a good question, Ricardo. Tell me, what part of the market is it that you're most curious about? Again, thought-provoking question. Most people are going to say, oh, the market's going down or going up or blah, blah, blah. I think interest rates are going to do this. Like, you don't want to be a teacher. Okay. This is what people default to as being a teacher. But what you want to do instead is ask a thought-provoking question to dig deeper on why they're even asking you that in the first place. Because what are people going to tell you? Like, oh, we've been thinking of selling, we've been putting it on the market, we're not sure yet, blah, blah, blah. And like, oh, and then you can build on that. And you ask more questions. Who's making this move with you? Like, so on and so forth. And then you can, once you get enough information and you show them that you've heard them and you've listened, then's your opportunity to say, you know what? I actually have some space in my calendar Monday afternoon. Would you guys want to just hop on a Zoom and we can talk in more detail? And then you're turning a how's the market into an appointment because you practice how to address that type of question.
It's important to try to understand what their presumptions are, rather than immediately starting to teach them things that may not even be relevant to them.
100%. Try to avoid, nobody likes the teacher. So you don't like, what's the quote I'm missing? They don't care what you know until they know that you care, is a good
Exactly.
one, okay? Remember that. They don't care what you know until they know that you care. So you need to figure out, ask thought-provoking questions and build upon that, okay? Another quick tip I'll give you guys is 70% of people have a pet, okay? One of the coolest things you can do is find out what their pet's name is, write it down in your CRM. Next time you talk to them, you say, oh, how's Whiskers, or whatever their cat or dog's name is, right? And that's one of the questions you'll get when you say, like, is there anyone else making this move with you? Like, do you guys have any pets? That kind of thing, right? Record that stuff down. And when you call them, have your follow-up boss up and make sure that you can refer back to that, because it makes them feel heard. It makes them feel like they're listening. Most agents will never do this. And this is what's going to make you stand out, right? Now, step 5 is to leverage video to build trust for you. Okay. This is something I'm really big on. I mean, YouTube changed my life. And a lot of what I do in Agent Launches program is I coach our clients on YouTube. So I'm really, really big on actually leveraging your YouTube videos in an effective way. So I should be wearing my branding. Is that better? Okay. So basically you want to leverage video to build trust for you. So let's go back to this question. Have you ever had a lead tell you they're just browsing? Well, again, most people give up here. This is another one. If you don't get through to them that time, this is how I would recommend ending that conversation. If you have videos that you've created. Hey, Ricardo, I know you're likely really early in the process and just browsing. Most people who sign up on our website are. Would it be helpful at this stage if I sent you a video I just made on the top 5 neighborhoods to invest in right now in Orange County? What do you think he's going to say? What would you say? I can answer that for you. Of course, he's going to say, yes, that would be great. Why is he going to say that? 1, because it sounds interesting. 2, because it's going to get you off the phone, right? So now what you can do is once they say, yeah, sure, you can say, great. Is it all right if I text that to you? Right? Then you say, I just want to confirm this is your correct number. Then you can confirm their phone number. Send it over to them in a text. People are way more likely to watch a video on their phone these days when they're out and about. It's totally non-threatening, just like Gus said. Think about the last time, like let's do a brainstorming session. Think about the last time you walked into a clothing store and a very aggressive sales rep came up to you and was like, hey, welcome to the store. Can I help you? And you were like, whoa, I just got here. I haven't even looked at anything yet. That's kind of what it's like when someone signs up on your site and you call them, you're like, hey, like how many beds and baths are you looking for? So a cool way to do this and think about it is, when's the last time you walked into a clothing store and someone said, hey, welcome to the store. I just want to give you our brochure of all our sales that are happening today. Let me know if you need any help, right? Very non-threatening. That's kind of what this is like when you're handing them a video. hey, let me give you a video, watch it on your own time. Let me know if you need any support. Let the video build the trust for you. Next time you reach out to that person, they're going to be a little bit more warmed up to you if they've decided they like you, right? So a really cool strategy to actually leverage video. Let's do another one. How do you leverage video to build trust with you in a proactive sense? So not just for objection handling and getting through that barrier, but how many of you have a website where people are actively searching on right now, right? One thing you can do for proactive outreach is you can go in and you look at people who are actively looking at properties and just send them a text. Hey, Jason, I noticed you were searching for homes in Kona a lot lately. So I wanted to send you a quick video on some of the things many buyers aren't aware of when buying in Kona. Let me know if this is helpful, right? What a thoughtful thing to send someone. In Kona, this is Hawaii for anyone that doesn't know, there are lava zones. So if you're someone moving from California to Hawaii, you may not know there was such a thing as lava zones. And he teaches you about that in this video, right? So this is fantastic for proactive outreach, but obviously you have to have these assets created in order for this to work, okay? And later in this presentation, I'm gonna get into how to actually do YouTube at a really high level. But this is how you can actually use your YouTube videos without fully just relying on the algorithm. Okay, step 6, and this is something I see very few people do, is build yourself a successful calendar. So block 3 hours, 5 times a week for prospecting. Real estate is a relationship business, especially right now. Like, who is someone going to choose as their realtor? It's the one that they trust the most. Block 5 hours a week for content. Block afternoons off for meetings and showings. How many of you do this? 1 in the chat if you do it, 2 if you don't. This is one of the most fundamental things that a lot of people don't do. So make yourself a Google Calendar. Okay. Another tip is set up Calendly, which will allow people to book Zoom calls on your calendar. Leave your afternoon open for meetings, but block that time off in the morning for prospecting, calling people, building relationships, sending them videos, following up with them, tweaking their safe search, being supportive. Now, this is what I would say is a really simple winning calendar. Work out in the morning, prospect, lunch, content, or appointments. Block off dinner for your family too. Make sure that you're not sacrificing everything else in your life for work. I've done that. I know a lot of people who've done that, and it just doesn't work long term. Block in time with your family. Make sure you're taking care of your personal life so that you can thrive in your business. But create a successful calendar and stick to it. Step 7 is to buy back your time. So there's a few ways you can buy back your time. So if you do want to scale any of this, like, there's a certain point where you're going to be too busy to grow. And that's just a capacity thing. So yes, you can leverage some things to automation, but there's some things you can't leverage to automation. So there's 3 things you're going to want to look at doing down the line. Now, first is leveraging your admin to a remote. We call this an REOA. So in our program, we help recruit this role and train them. It's a real estate operations assistant. And this is going to be like social media, transaction coordination, updating, a lot of things that are going to help you and saving time. Most people would just call this an admin. That's usually step 1. Leverage your prospecting to an ISA. This is if you're doing a high volume of online lead generation, like you're generating 100 to 200 leads a month, and you want a full-time salesperson to work those leads to tee up appointments for you. We also recruit and train those roles at Agent Launch. The third part is to leverage an OSA, which would in this case would be a buyer's agent. So this is bringing someone onto your team and officially starting your team, leveraging out a lot of your buyer deals to them and taking more listings. This is the general structure of how people scale. I will also leave you with this, is like building something great takes time, effort, and sacrifice. Tony Robbins said it is people they overestimate what they can do in a year and they underestimate what they can do in 10. And with where I'm at in my business, I found that to be incredibly true. And so be patient and know that building these things takes time. Like Riley and Sydney, their team, how they did 53 deals this year on Google Ads, like it took them time to get there, right? This doesn't happen overnight. They didn't do it in their first year, but now they're looking to take that to 100 next year, right? And so once you get established, it becomes easier to scale. It's usually like the first 100K is the hardest, right? In most businesses, then it's like a lot easier because you're pretty much established. So yeah, Corey, I'll send this out. So I just wanted to stop there and do a quick Q&A, and then we're going to get into all things YouTube. My man, did you want to jump in and address any questions that were on here? Does anyone have any specific questions about this? Because the next part of the workshop is going to be pretty much all YouTube.
I'll see if while you guys post some questions in there. A second ago when you were talking about, how to use video to build trust. I got started my career in the industry a little over a decade ago. I was a loan officer just before the subprime market collapse. To be honest, I was still an undergrad in college.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine that, me trying to be a loan officer, babyface Ricardo. Realtors would tell me, that's cute, honey, go get some experience, or no thanks, we already have an in-house lender. What I did was I built a website for myself, wrote 3 pieces of content every week. Here's what's happening on the economic calendar that's going to impact mortgage rates. Should you lock or float your rate? And then different scenarios, subject to pre-qualification, of course. And I created a ton of video content so that when I met somebody or talked to somebody, I would always preempt, like, hey, I know we're going to meet, we're scheduled to meet on Thursday. You probably have a lot of questions. Here's a couple of testimonials of some of the realtors and clients that I've worked with before. And here's some videos that are going to explain what the market is doing, what interest rates are doing, just so that it can preempt any questions and you can come to the meeting prepared, but confident that we're going to make some progress on, what your goals and questions are. All of that to say that stuff really, really, really works. It's just super impactful. It allows you to kind of build trust before you get to the table, if that makes sense. And then you
With
had
clients and with other people in your industry too. And I think that's kind of what you're saying is like, if people are going to refer business out to someone in your market when they're not in your market, when you have videos active online and you're talking about stuff, it's a little easier for someone to understand that you know what you're doing, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. For sure. The other thing that you had pointed out was like sharing a local community video. Hey, I noticed that you were browsing, Costa Mesa community. Can I send you some additional stuff? Like followupboss has merge fields. I'll link to the help doc in a second, but you can add merge fields to your templates if you're using like any number of our web providers. But like I'm thinking like AgentFire, Ylopo, etc. You can include merge fields that'll send an email of, like, for example, the last 5 properties that somebody has viewed. So hey, Ricardo, not sure if you saw these latest 5 listings in Costa Mesa, and it's a merge field of all the 5 properties that they've already previewed. But you can build that sort of stuff into your drip campaigns. Just wanted to point some of that stuff out. And then a few people were asking, how about a VA? I think VAs are an excellent resource. I think that so I had an experience with hiring a VA, and I'll share this with you because I'm sure it happens often. One of my superpowers is that I'm really good at creating SOPs, and an SOP is just a standard operating procedure. It's a document that basically says, here's the task, here's why we do it this way, here's why it's important that we do it this way, but if you have any feedback for how to improve this or comments on how to make it better, open to suggestions. Here are the steps for completing everything that needs to get done to have this executed. I say that's a superpower for me because I've been writing like detailed technical training tutorials and documentation since like I got started in my career on the technology side of real estate. So I wrote a lot of, when I had my first daughter, she's 2.5 years old now. I want to spend more time with my family. I created SOPs for a lot of like the redundant stuff in my business because I want to spend more time with family. I hired a VA, and it turned out that this VA was just not a good fit. And I could have said, well, VAs suck, I'm never doing that again. But what I did instead was I went back and I said, well, here are the SOPs that I created. They're pretty straightforward. So is this something that's outside of the technical scope of the VAs that you usually assign to people? And am I asking something that's a little too advanced? Or is this just not a good fit? Having those SOPs done ahead of time were useful to me in measuring the effectiveness of my VA, and my VA was just not a good fit. Within 24 hours, they assigned somebody else, and me and my new VA are just amazing, and we work well together and everything gets done. And I have the confidence of being able to ship something or assign something to them. And for me, if they get it done 70% of the way, 80% of the way, that's better than, chasing perfection. I don't need perfection. I need progress, and then I can pick up the slack or whatever, but I have total confidence in what I'm giving them because the blueprint is there. So VAs are absolutely a phenomenal resource. And I'll post some of that stuff in here, but Eric, I'll stop hijacking and kick it back over to you.
That's okay. I would say, like, just quick bullet points on hiring any remote talent. We prefer to hire on the same time zone, mostly Latin America, Caribbean. Trust your gut and be prepared to be a leader. Like, whatever role you hired, be prepared to step up, be a leader, and work with that person, give them financial opportunity, give them opportunity to grow, meet with them every day, especially in the beginning. Don't just say, I need you to treat them like a per hour, like labor, like treat them like a team member. Like, I think that's really important to like treat people well and make it a long-term goal. So anyways, I'm going to put some links in here for everyone in case they're interested to go in a bit, but there's one to check out Agent Launch. There's our Facebook group, High Volume Real Estate Sales Secrets, if you want to jump in there. And there's a link to my YouTube channel, so you can follow me there. Obviously, a link to Agent Launch too. But let's keep going. So this is a little bit about, I'm just going to skip over this because I do this webinar as a separate thing too. But now we're going to talk about YouTube, guys. So, and like, feel free to jump in if I'm going too long, but this part I love, because at Agent Launch, this is my domain, is the sales and the YouTube stuff. But I'm really passionate about YouTube. I try to get a lot of people into YouTube because I love it, and I have firsthand experience of making it work at a really high level. So why YouTube? Let's jump into it really quick. YouTube is absolutely massive. It is the biggest social media platform in the world other than Facebook. Facebook's on the decline finally. That just happened. It might feel like it happened a long time ago, but it just happened. YouTube will for sure overtake YouTube. YouTube is a monopoly. What's their competition? They don't have any. And I know there's a couple of questions in the chat about getting this presentation. I'll make sure everyone gets a copy, and I'm sure they're going to send out the replay too. So I know it's a lot, drinking through a fire hose, as Ricardo said, but think about it. YouTube has no competition. It used to be Google videos, but what happened? They bought YouTube. YouTube's replacing TV. How many of you have children that watch more YouTube than TV? Probably most kids these days do. 1 billion hours are watched every single day. YouTube is highly, highly targeted, guys. When someone searches, what's it like to live in Victoria, and your video pops up, 5 pros and cons of living in Victoria, you're the first person that's going to get to teach them about Victoria. And that's going to build a lot of trust with that person. And if any of you have done YouTube, or if you haven't, I promise you from experience, like every client I've ever coached on this will say the best leads they've ever gotten are from YouTube. Why? Because they get on a call with you and they say, Eric, I've watched all your videos. I feel like I know you. It happens to me every day. And it's the best feeling when someone's already decided they want to work with you. They just need to know you're who they think you are. Unless you show them you're a complete weirdo and you're just good on camera, they're probably going to work with you. This is one of our clients here, Kerry. He's in his 60s and he's doing YouTube and got 13,000 views on this. He's got 4 or 5 clients from this video. One of them was a celebrity. Pretty cool stuff. YouTube's also cost recovering. So in 2021, my channel made me $23,201. Pretty cool. I did not spend that much on equipment or editing or anything. So it is cost recovering in and of itself, kind of like a toll bridge. Not that I like tolls or you like tolls, it doesn't matter, but it's cost recovering. Lastly, YouTube is evergreen. So this video is my Google Ads tutorial. So if any of you want to learn Google Ads, this is a great tutorial. It's the first video on my channel. But I launched this video on April 13th of this year. Look at the views. It's still going up every day. I still get, like if you look in the last 48 hours, I've got 158 views. That's happening every day, right? So most videos you put out on social media last 1 or 2 days. YouTube, they last months and sometimes years. Like I still have a Google Ads tutorial I made 2 years ago that's still getting views. There's like 170,000 views now. It's crazy. So yes, you put more upfront work into YouTube videos, but you get a disproportionately longer length of time where your videos actually work for you. YouTube also compounds. So when you have more videos, you're hitting more keywords, more search terms, more is happening, more of your videos are feeding each other, and it just compounds over time. So the more videos and the more time you've been doing it, the more everything feeds each other. So it's a natural compounding organism. YouTube also, you can create social media content out of it. So you can take your long form videos. Every time I make a YouTube video, chop it up into like 3 or 4 videos. We've taken some of these webinars I've done, we've chopped it up into social media videos for TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. So this can be your email drip campaign. If you make a video a week, send out that video a week to your email database. There's your drip, except all your content is timely, it's relevant, it's now, it's not like you're sending them content you made months ago. And so really powerful stuff. Let's dive into some case studies to follow, because the first step of creating a YouTube channel is finding other people who are doing it well that you resonate with and you like. So case studies to follow. I showed you a couple already. This is Linnea. She did 8 deals this year in Seattle market. She has a very high average GCI. So she's done 6 figures this year just from her YouTube channel. And since we started working together about 5 months ago, I think she started 200 and something subscribers. So she's doubled and she's growing really quickly now. So Linnea is going to do great. She helps me coach YouTube now in my program because she's so good at it. So does Todd, actually. Todd was another great example I showed you. And that other screenshot was more up to date. I think he's like almost 400 subs now. Got a few videos that are like 10,000 plus subscribers, but they're good examples of people using our formula to be successful. Jennifer Gramling, she has done 30 deals this year, and she's only 1.5 years in, moving to Nashville, Tennessee. Levi's kind of the king of YouTube. You might have seen him before around, but he has over 18,000 subscribers. I know they do like 100 deals a year from YouTube now, and they've only been doing it just over almost 2 years. It's crazy, but they just committed to that one thing and became really good at it. Rochelle's awesome. I'm actually friends with her husband. She started 8 months ago. She started doing 20 deals. She has 5,400 subscribers. She has one video that just hit 200,000 views called "Don't Move to Toronto, Ontario." And that changed her life. That's the funny thing about YouTube is like, you can make one video that can just take off and it can change your whole channel. It can change your life. It's pretty cool. Tom Story's an OG. He's been doing this for 6 years and he gets one appointment every 2 days from YouTube. He's constantly on the news, does a lot of speaking events because of his YouTube channel. He's just been doing it for longer. And yes, Michelle, that's what we do. But like, if you have a YouTube channel, wherever you're at, you can grow from there. Most people haven't gotten too far with it. You don't want to start fresh. You want to stick to it. So let's get into some of the technical elements of YouTube and talk about the algorithm. So those are some people to follow so that you can get inspired, do your R&D, rip off and duplicate, see what's working on other channels and repurpose it in your own way. So there's 3 big points to the algorithm you need to understand. So the first one is watch time. This is the most important thing to get your YouTube videos ranking, is what is the average length of time people watch your video. So for me, this is just one example. I think this is the Google Ads tutorial on my channel, this video. So the average view duration was 9 minutes and 16 seconds. Average percentage viewed was 17.5. If you look down on the bottom right here, you'll see the relative audience retention is all above average through the whole video. That's where you want to be, is above average based on what type of video you're making compared to the market. And so this signals to YouTube that people like what you're saying and they like your content and they're sticking around. What does YouTube want? They want more watch time. Why? Because they can deliver more ads and then they can make more money. It's very simple. If you just think of it in a business sense, YouTube wants people on their platform longer so they can run more ads, so they can make more money, right? So you have to focus on delivering engaging content that keeps people sticking around and staying on the platform. So you can increase your watch time by making your content more engaging with a strong edit. So like at Agent Launch, we edit your videos. Same people who edit my videos, edit your videos. So like you can add pattern interrupts, jump cuts, good animations, lower thirds, B-roll, branded animations, things like that. You can also make your content more sticky with a strong structure. The most important part of your videos is your hook in the beginning, the first 30 to 60 seconds. So you want to make a really strong intro. You use the HOT formula, which is hook, outcome, text, testimonial. Hook them in with a strong statement. Tell them immediately what's the outcome they're going to get in this video. So like, I spend $500,000 a month on Google Ads, something like that. In this video, I'm going to show you A to Z of exactly how we do it without leaving any secrets on off the table. So like, hook them in with a big statement, teach them what they're going to get out of the program. And the testimonial, I already did. I said, I spend $500,000 a month on Google Ads. So tell them why you're the right person to listen to. In your case, it'll be like, I've been selling real estate here for the last 15 years. I've helped so many people move here and I've seen the things they like and the things they don't like. So in this video, I'm going to teach you 7 things you might love about moving to Toronto and 7 things you might not that I've seen people really don't like about here. And I'm going to be very honest about it. It's like, hook people in, focus on that beginning part of your video to get people sticking around. And the last thing is make your content more watchable with strong audio and video, but focus on audio. YouTube has come out and said, you need to focus on audio. Audio quality is the most important thing, not video quality. People can stomach 720p video, but they cannot deal with crackly sounding audio. So focus on a good microphone and making sure your audio is good. I'm going to get into a bit of that later. Second is launch velocity. How many views did your video get in the first 24 hours since you launched it? Really important. So if you look at my video here, this is again that YouTube video or that Google Ads video. I blast that out by email in the first 24 hours and you see that huge spike. What this does is it gets you into the algorithm and YouTube's able to test your video and see how people engage with it. And if people engage positively, that'll help your video grow right out of the gate. So make sure when you launch a video, you're sending it out to your whole database. You're writing a cold email like you see here. This was one of Linnea's videos. She made a video on the 2-1 buy down. She had 13 conversations started from that one video, just by emailing it out to people. And she said predicts she's going to do about 4 or 5 deals from that, which is kind of crazy. That's not, I don't benchmark on that. That was just a good result. But a lot of people I coach, that's one thing, they rush to get their video out and they don't plan on actually sending out an email blast and promoting it on social media. So one thing you can do is send out your video to your email list. The second thing is you can chop it up for social media and create teasers that drive people to your channel. And if you look at my Instagram and my YouTube, you'll notice we do that all the time. And that's kind of the recommended way to do it. Launch velocity is really important. Third thing is click-through rate. So what percentage of people that see your video click on it? So there's really 3 places you'll see someone else's video, okay? And I can go to YouTube and show you this right now. Like if I go to YouTube, this is called like the Explore, okay? So this will teach you a lot about someone. What you see here is the algorithm basically showing you what YouTube thinks is relevant content, okay? So I'm seeing the Keeping It Real podcast because I was on it last week. I'm seeing Tesla stuff because I'm an investor. I'm seeing Canucks stuff because I always follow the Canucks. I'm seeing more hockey stuff. I was just watching one of this girl's videos on Portugal. So you know what I mean? Like it's going to show you relevant stuff. So this is one of the places that you'll see your video will show up. The second place is like, if I go living in Victoria, BC, this was Carrie's video that I just showed you. So that's the second place you'll show up is in the search results. And the third place your video will show up is in the sidebar here, which is called recommended videos, okay? So those are the 3 places that things are going to show up. And basically what you want to do is increase your click-through rate. So out of every 100 times your video is shown somewhere, what percentage of people clicked on it, okay? Now, the only things that matter in a click-through rate is your thumbnail and your title. How do those 2 things work together? So you want to increase your click-through rate by having a professionally designed thumbnail using high contrast colors, big words, but few words. Biggest mistake I see what people do is they do like a really long-winded like thumbnail. So they'll rewrite the whole title out on the thumbnail. You don't want to do that. You want to this is a good example of one of my videos that did pretty well, which is like lead generation for real estate agent. Which platform is best? I put Google Ads, Facebook, and YouTube, right? That complements each other. That other one, Rochelle, that one that has 200,000 views, I'll show you what it looks like in a minute, but it's like, don't move to Toronto, Ontario. And she has like a disappointed face with like a building from Toronto in the background. You want them to complement. So have a catchy complementary keyword research title, like top 5 reasons not to live in Seattle, 10 pros and cons of living in Chicago, don't move to Toronto, Ontario, something that really speaks and grabs people. So increase your click-through rate, increase your stickiness, watch time, and blast that video in the beginning. That's the core of the algorithm right there. It's as simple as I can describe it. So I hope that helps. So we can get into the 10 steps for success. I just want to check in, guys. Are we okay to do that? It's usually about another 15 minutes, unless you guys want to wrap up. I know we're coming up to the hour. You let me know. What does the audience think? Ricardo, you guys good?
That's awesome. Everyone says keep going, so let's keep this party going.
Okay, so this is going to be my tried and true 10 steps to succeeding with YouTube. Okay, this is very step by step. So this is going to be like drinking through a fire hose, I assure you. But you'll have to watch this again. So I assume the recording is going to go out. But this is really valuable stuff, and this is all mistakes I've made so that you don't have to. Okay, so. Step 1 is find yourself some inspiration. Rip off and duplicate R&D. Find 2 channels you really like and make 3 videos that you like from their channel that you resonate with that were successful. Start planning, okay? First thing is find inspiration. The best way to do YouTube is to get inspired by other people who are doing it successfully, but don't expect anything for 6 months. This is the biggest expectation setting hack I can give you. Don't expect much. I have clients like Todd who came out of the gate strong and had a lot of success. I have another client, Teresa. She's made so many good videos and her channel just hasn't got that one video that's blown up yet. And she's like just on the cusp of having it. Riley, that guy I showed you earlier, he was finally started to listen to me about YouTube, and he did it how I said, and his last video got into the algorithm. He's got 600 views in the last 5 days, and it's trending now in Calgary. So that's awesome. But it just takes that one video to kind of blow up, and it can change your channel. It teaches YouTube that like your channel is valid, and it'll start showing you to more people and testing you more. But just don't expect anything. It can happen if you're good, but it's consistency over time that's important. So second is branding. We already covered this, so I'm just going to skip over this, but same thing as what I was saying before is the suggested brand guideline I believe in. You noticed like living in Dallas, Texas, that guy, he was living in Dallas, Texas, moving to Nashville, Tennessee, right? Living in Toronto, living in Kona. There's a lot of ways you can do that. Life on Oahu is one of my clients. Living in Kona, living in Phoenix, Arizona, life in something like that. It's a lifestyle brand and you can kind of roll with it. So be very intentional about how you do this and make sure that it's a long-term play. Step 3 is get yourself some basic equipment. The simplest way you can do this, and Linnea does it this way. She uses her iPhone and this little wired mic next to the phone here. It's called a Rode SmartLav Plus. All you need is a tripod, a little phone holder, and that microphone, and you can make great videos today. She also uses a teleprompter app, which will actually read out the script that she's made. I don't like scripting like that. I'll show you how I script in a minute. I like bullet points, but it just depends on what works for you. My setup is a lot more complicated than that. Not really, actually. It's still simple. I have a nice Sony ZV-E10 with like a really high-end mic. That's actually what I'm talking to you through right now. But that's because I'm at a different stage with YouTube. When you start out, just use your phone, get a simple mic. That's it. Keep it really, really simple for yourself. A step up from that would be a Sony ZV-1 and a Rode Video Micro. A lot of the videos I've recorded over the last 2 years have been with that exact setup. That is a great setup. The camera's $700, the mic's less than 100. It's really easy. But it just depends if you're willing to invest, and this Gorilla Pod is great. So my advice would be get like a Gorilla Pod, get a little phone holder attachment. That mic will plug into your iPhone. If you have a new iPhone, you'll need a little white Apple adapter for it, but keep it simple. Don't complicate it. I'm not going to use my scroll wheel. Step 4 is have a simple backdrop and lighting. So using natural light is much better than trying to be a director of photography. Okay. So this shot was shot just down there in front of a window. So my YouTube ad, some of you might have seen it. Some of you will probably see it after this through my retargeting, but that is my ad. And would you guys agree that's a good shot? Nice lighting, nice background blur. That was basically shot with that setup I showed you before, right here, okay? That's all it is. My camera, mic in front of a window. Keep it super simple. I even put it on a lamp thing so it's at the right height. So don't overcomplicate it, but a good camera in front of a window with a bit of depth behind you will give you everything you need to make a professional looking shot. You don't need to have a huge complicated lighting setup, especially in the early days. Really try to keep it simple. So work in front of a window. That's my advice. So keep it simple, don't obsess. Next is script. You need to script your content. Scripted content's better than ad-lib content. Some people like to script everything out and read off a teleprompter. I have my little notebook, my Remarkable, and I just make bullet points and I put that under my camera. That's it. The only thing I'll ever script out is the hook and the intro. So the hook, usually like I have a scripting template here, and this is going to be in that guide I'm going to give you guys at the end. So don't worry about that. But basically it's going to be like, Vancouver is known for the mountains. Are you thinking about moving here? Well, I've lived here for the last 20 years and I've helped so many people move here. I absolutely love it. And in this video, I break down the top 10 pros and top 10 cons of living in Vancouver, which should help you decide if this is the right place for you, right? Very descriptive of how the video should start. And then you can go into a little intro about yourself, but that's the part I'd script. And then the body of the video, just do pro one, con one, pro one, con one. You all know how to talk about the bad traffic and the good weather. That's easy. So just keep it simple for yourself. That's how I like to do it. Make sure you plan your call to actions. By the way, guys, if you're thinking of moving here, I'm happy for you to just pick my brain. All my contact information is in the description below. You can even book a call with me. I'd be happy to give you my time, no problem. So let's get back to the video. Like, make sure you teach people how to get in touch with you, so that they don't forget that or not know how. So step 6 is actually film. So keep it super simple. The biggest piece of advice I can give you, film in one shot. Okay. Don't stop. Don't do this, press record, on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, and send your video editor like 20 files. Turn it on. If you screw up, start again. If you screw up, if you say something you don't like, just backpedal a bit and then say it again. Your editor will cut out what's in between, and it's a jump cut. It'll just, you barely even notice it when you're watching the video. You'll notice in a lot of my videos, I do that.
We always do one shot, and if I mess up, I pause just for a second, long enough for my editor to know that that's what we're going to cut.
Exactly. And talk to your editor. Say, hey, I'll say, hey, Jorge, can you just cut that last part out, or use the second version of that? Like, just talk to him in the camera, because he's going to be editing the video and watching every part, right? So another big piece. So that's one thing. Keep your setup simple. Don't stop. Just keep recording one file. It's easier for an editor to just take one file and cut off the dead space. Also, speak louder and faster than you think is normal. The biggest mistake most people make in their first video is they kind of talk like this, like they're talking to their friend sitting on the couch at the coffee shop. And when you're listening to like a video, it just doesn't sound as good. You need to like get up, stand up if you can. If you have a sit-stand desk like I do, standing up gives you a naturally better energy. And you want to talk louder and faster. It's like presentation mode. It'll come off normal on camera, probably like I come off more normal to you guys right now. So speak louder and faster than you think is normal. Don't stop, and talk to your editor in the shot. That's a really simple way to film. Next is take a thumbnail photo. This is the example I was talking about. Make a thumbnail photo that matches the title, okay? So her video, 156,000 views at the time of this screenshot. It's now over 200. Don't move to Toronto, Ontario. I can't stand Toronto. So after you film your video, get in front of the camera, take an emotional shot. You can upload that to Canva, remove the background, and put it on a thing like I did here, right? I always take like a emotional shot, okay? So it needs to complement the title, not repeat, and add some emotion to it, but have your face on it. Don't use a stock image. Don't do that. And yeah, I'll get to editing right now. There's a few options. Ricardo just put in the chat here, VidShops. I've used VidShops before. They were pretty good, actually. They're a subscription service. I would suggest you can go on Fiverr or Upwork and you can find an editor, but there's some rules to this. Only use an editor that has worked with YouTube before. Okay, I've made this mistake. You are in no position.
Very good distinction.
You are in no position to teach someone how to be a YouTube editor. And don't tell them what you want. Show them what you want. Say, these are 2 channels I like. Can you make an edit for me like this? Don't be like, I want this cut. I want this thing. I want this thing, because you don't know how to talk to them. I did this myself. I was trying to communicate with an editor and tell them all these things, and it just was a big mess.
And this isn't to talk down by any means, is don't assume that they are creative by nature. They are very good at following instructions or a template. So the more specific visuals that you give them, the better. And like, refrain from saying, yeah, just use your creative intuition to come up with like a jump cut and transition. Like, they're not going to do that. They're going to follow a blueprint or a model, probably use a template. So the more specific you can source examples, say, here's a video. I like the transition at the 1 minute and 45 second mark. That's exactly what I'm looking for. If you give them those sorts of specifics, the happier you're going to be with whatever outcome you get back.
Yeah, good point. Show, don't tell. It's really hard to tell, but show them what you like. And just like you said, point out to a specific, if you like something very specific, make sure they understand what that specific thing is. But yeah, it's hard when you give them full creative control, because there's going to be things you don't like. So find examples you like and show them what you like about them is a really good piece of advice. Agent Launch, we have an editing service just for our active clients. So if any of you end up working with us, we actually do your edits in-house and your thumbnails and a brand kit and a bunch of cool stuff. So a really simple workflow is upload your file and thumbnail to a shared Google Drive folder. Give them that link. Let them download it, and then have them upload it to your YouTube channel. You can give your creator access to your YouTube channel, so they can upload it to YouTube unlisted. You can watch it, you can review it, which is the next step. You can review that piece of content, and then if it's good to go, great, you can just launch it on YouTube. But it's easier than reviewing it on Drive, than downloading it, than uploading it. That's the simplest workflow I can suggest. One thing I want to say about reviewing, everyone, is don't be overly picky about the small things. When people are watching your video, the small things they just don't care about. If your editor is overseas and they make spelling errors or whatever, it's not a big deal. It happens to me all the time. Like, we put out a video the other day that the text read realtors.com. Doesn't matter. Like, my audience knows it's realtor.com. Nobody's going to remember that. Done is better than perfect. Thank you. That's a good word, or a good line. Like, pick your battles in regards to what you want to re-edit. My advice is just eat the bad edits at first, because there's going to be some errors in the first like 3 to 5 videos with your editor in some cases. If you're contracting an editor who hasn't done this before. But just eat the bad edits. Don't worry about it. Just say, hey, I want this done next time. Move on to the next video, because your first videos aren't going to be that great anyway. And that's the thing you need to know, is like, repetition over time is what's the only thing that's going to make you good at this. So let's get into step 10, which is my favorite. Deploy, deploy, deploy. 10.1, deploy via YouTube. You don't need a posting schedule. There's no magic formula to what time to post, what day to post, how many times to post. Post as much as you can. 1 video a day is best. 1 video a week's great. 1 video a month, still pretty good. Add tags. No, they're not that important. Tags just tell YouTube what your video is about. Add cards as necessary. Add an end screen with just 1 video and point to it. Add chapters if you feel like it. Those are those kind of chapters in the video. Have a default upload template. You can build it something like this. This is a really clean one I use for all our clients. Book a Zoom call with me, text call me directly, view all homes for sale in our area. Here's my Instagram, TikTok, whatever. Use emojis to make it really clear. Also deploy by social media and YouTube Shorts. Have it chopped up into little pieces of video. Add little captions on the video. That's your social media content. Deploy by email. We already kind of went over this, but your best drip campaigns are sending out relevant videos. So keep the email short. Use a youtube.com link in full because people trust it, or use an actual thumbnail, which is what I showed you earlier. Next is deploy via text. We already went in this in the sales process, but I'll say it again because it's really important. Great for proactive outreach, texting people who are searching for properties in a specific area, sending them a video that's super helpful to warm up to you. Lastly, deploy via phone. We already went over this as well, but I'll go over it again. So if people say, I'm just browsing, I'm not ready to talk to an agent, it's like, no problem. I understand you're likely very early in the process. We're just here to help and meet you where you're at. I noticed you were searching in Kona. Our team leader, Todd, actually just made a great video on his favorite neighborhoods in the area. Would sending that to you be helpful? Sure, great. Is it all right if I text it to you? Let me confirm your number, et cetera, et cetera. The last thing is add it to your drip campaigns. This is what we do for all our clients in Follow Up Boss. When they've created their videos, we're going to put them in your drip campaigns so that instead of having to do some of this manually, we get your videos emailed and texted out to all your new leads on autopilot for 6 out of the first 10 days. So basically, when leads sign up on your website, they just start getting hit with your video content. They get a chance to watch it, opens them up to you guys as a business, and makes the whole thing more sticky. That's all I got, guys. I hope that was helpful. You're probably going to want to watch this again. So again, if you do want to...
And again.
If you do want to work with Agent Launch, you can go to agentlaunch.com, click on Get Started, and you can book a call with our team, and we'll run you through what we do. Our program is not typically designed for new agents, usually for a little bit established at least and want to grow. You can always go into our Facebook group, High Volume Real Estate Sales Secrets. We do share a lot of free content in there. And then I'm going to send you the link to this masterclass bonus here in a second. So
yeah, so I use a Notes app on my phone. I use Notes and in Bear, two note-taking apps. And then I use Things 3 as a to-do list. I keep things in there that say like things I need to ship today. But in my Notes app, I have a document, basically a folder, and it's always like real ideas or content ideas. Just stuff that as you're consuming content or trying to come up with stuff, ideas of what to post, it's just a really good idea to keep that library of growing stuff to shoot.
Yeah, 100%.
There's just so much that we do in real estate that's like repetitive. How many times or how often do you find yourself answering the same question over and over and over and over and over again? Why not sit down and build a library of assets that becomes a marketing resource for you 24/7 that allows you to build that know, like, and trust factor on autopilot with the prospects that you're trying to reach each and every single day. So I hope a lot of that resonates with you guys. If you have any questions, we're here monitoring the chat. Otherwise, I just want to say thank you all very much for carving some time out of your day. I'm sure it was like drinking from a fire hose, but some great resources there. If you guys have any questions for us, we're of course available to follow up with you and answer any questions after the webinar. But otherwise, thank you so much. I hope you guys got some value out of that and can turn around and implement some of this stuff. Eric, you have anything to add?
I'm just happy to be here. I love doing this. So thanks for coming, everyone. I hope you got the value of it. Be sure to follow us online and be sure to use FollowUpBoss too, because it's awesome.
Awesome. All right, we'll wrap there. Thank you guys and have a great rest of your week. Happy holidays.